I got them chasing again, speed racing down memory lane. Got 4 felonies, damn, when wrong move, I can get life in the can. They gave my pop life in the can, he died right in the can. Man, I'd rather die lacking in my wheel, live on the gram. Let me say it again. Before I do life in the can, I'd rather these cookie cops, but they boot on my windpipe again. I can't breathe.
To wake up, so it'd be hard for me to sleep. Walk in the forehead down, I know the drill, I'm from the street. Read me my rights, cause y'all ain't getting shit from me.
You gotta understand, babe, I'm not making it right. What I'm telling you is that these cops be spraying people, locking them in, beating on them. This is the shit that goes on, babe.
Code 3. Code 3. Not a drill. Inmates have seized the building in Charlie.
At a state prison, one of those are following developments at this hour in Delaware. Inmates taking several guards and a counselor hostage. At a state prison, one of those hostages injured. The incident triggering an alert at all prisons in the state. ABC's Eva Pilgrim on the scene tonight.
Tonight, a Delaware prison on lockdown.
44-2, James E. 1 Correctional Center, 1181 Paddock Road.
4 guards and a counselor taken hostage just before 10:30 a.m. The calls coming in for a report of smoke. Injuries reported, including 1 guard reportedly hit multiple times with a mop wringer.
At this point, we do not know if there are any other injuries.
Images from above showing heavily armed SWAT teams and armored cars gathered in groups in the prison yard. The situation unfolding in an area of the prison where maximum security inmates transition to medium security.
Working with the Department of Correction, the FBI, and the Delaware State Police, we continue negotiations to obtain a peaceful and safe resolution.
David, a tense and active situation here right now. The roads around the prison blocked off. Authorities locking down prisons across the state as a precaution. David?
Eva, thank you.
Power, profit, and the cost of silence. Delaware calls itself a small state with a big sense of justice. But inside its prison system, justice has become something quieter, sealed, and disturbingly absent. This is not the story of one bad prison. It is the story of a leadership structure that has tolerated abuse, excused neglect, and hidden failure behind procedure, settlements, and silence. At the center of this story stands the Howard R. Young Correctional Institution in Wilmington, Delaware's largest jail, and increasingly, its most revealing. In late 2025 and early 2026, the facade cracked. A Delaware correctional officer, Rashad Hull, was arrested and charged with racketeering, bribery, and promoting prison contraband. According to investigators, Hull smuggled narcotics directly into I, including synthetic marijuana and powerful opioids, in exchange for bribes from inmates. This was not a lapse in judgment. It was a sustained operation. The arrest exposed a truth long whispered by inmates and families. The most dangerous contraband entering Delaware prisons does not come from visitors. It comes from staff. Leadership response was swift in language, slow in substance. Statements promised accountability. But the system that allowed the operation to flourish remained intact. And while drugs flowed inward, medical care moved painfully slow. In 2024, Richard Flippin, just 24 years old, reported feeling ill while incarcerated at Harvesy. He was eventually transferred to the infirmary, then to a hospital. He did not survive. That same year, Michael Sales, 39, collapsed after what was described as a sudden medical emergency. He had been in custody only 3 months. These were not men serving life sentences. They were not violent emergencies in progress. They were people who asked for help and waited. Civil rights attorneys and federal investigators have repeatedly documented a pattern in Delaware prisons. Sick call requests ignored, delayed, or treated as nuisances until conditions become catastrophic. Leadership has been aware of these findings for years, yet the deaths continue. When abuse surfaces, the state's instinct has not been transparency, but defense. In 2023, a Delaware jury found correctional officer George Pyle liable for sexual abuse during a strip search at HRWE. The conduct was so extreme the jury awarded punitive damages, rejecting the state's argument that the actions were taken in good faith. Before the verdict, state attorneys defended the officer. After the verdict, the state paid. This pattern, deny, defend, settle, has become familiar. It was on full display after the 2017 uprising at James T. Vaughn Correctional Center. During an 18-hour siege, inmates used a counselor's phone not just to call 911, but to call the press. Their message was simple: education, rehabilitation, and transparency. The phone lines were cut. After the uprising ended, families reported days of silence, no confirmation that loved ones were alive. Later, lawsuits alleged that CERT teams retaliated indiscriminately against inmates who did not participate in the riot. The allegations were severe: beatings, forced nudity, exposure to freezing temperatures, humiliation. The state denied wrongdoing, then quietly paid $7.55 million to settle the claims. No senior officials resigned, no public reckoning followed. Then came COVID-19. During the pandemic, Delaware prisons received an F grade from the ACLU for their response. At Sussex Correctional Institution, nearly 1/3 of inmates tested positive. Inmates reported being locked in cells with 6 cellmates for 23 hours a day. Soap was rationed. Medical access was restricted. Families begged for information while visitation and phone access were cut. Official death counts remained low. Advocates insist those numbers omit inmates who died after release from untreated or exacerbated conditions. At the center of pandemic healthcare was Centurion, the private medical contractor paid millions to provide care. 2 whistleblowers filed a law alleging fraud and failure to treat serious illness. That lawsuit remains sealed. Critics argue the seal protects profits, not patients, and shields the state from accountability. Attorney General Kathleen Jennings' office has acknowledged investigations, but transparency has been limited. Once again, the truth exists, but behind closed doors. This is not accidental. It is structural. Delaware's justice system generates stable six-figure salaries for judges and prosecutors, while releasing formerly incarcerated people into poverty, unemployment, and near certain return. Recidivism is framed as failure, but in practice it sustains the system. The result is a justice apparatus that extracts wealth from the poor, protects institutional actors, and absorbs the cost of abuse through taxpayer-funded settlements. Leadership speaks the language of reform, but reform without accountability is theater. Bodies are counted quietly, lawsuits are sealed, settlements replace answers, and the public is told to move on. Delaware leadership did not create every abusive officer, every neglected patient, or every corrupt contractor, but it created and maintained the environment where these outcomes were predictable. Silence became policy. Opacity became protection. This is not about one prison. It is about a governing philosophy that treats incarcerated people as disposable and truth as negotiable. Until the lawsuits are unsealed, until independent oversight is empowered, until leadership chooses transparency over control, Delaware's prison crisis will not be resolved. It will simply be managed. And managed systems don't save lives. They just hide the cost.
Now let's explore the Smyrna uprising a little deeper. Kelly Gibbs.
30 years old when he died in custody at Howard R. Young in November 2018. He had already pleaded guilty in connection with the 2017 riot. He was awaiting sentencing. He never made it. There was no public explanation that satisfied his family. No jury. No accountability. His death joined a growing list of inmates who entered Delaware custody alive and left in a body bag without ever being convicted of the charges that brought them there. For many advocates, Gibbs' death symbolizes something chilling, pretrial detention that functions as a death sentence. Luis Cabrera. He died screaming in pain. Luis Cabrera's death is even harder to dismiss. According to lawsuits, whistleblower testimony, and investigative reporting, Cabrera spent days begging for medical help while housed at Howard R. Young. He complained of unbearable stomach pain. He was allegedly brushed off, denied hospital transfer, and given little more than antacids. His cause of death, a perforated ulcer. A condition that is highly survivable with timely care. A former medical contractor later described systemic pressure to avoid outside hospital trips, citing cost concerns and understaffing. Cabrera's family described his final hours as agonizing and unnecessary. Open quote. He didn't have to die, one advocate said bluntly. He died because no one thought his life was worth the inconvenience. Close quote. Delaware calls its prison system accountable. The numbers say it isn't. Judges earn over $223,000 a year. Prosecutors earn six figures. But people released from Delaware prisons leave with less than $10,000, nearly half unemployed, and a 60% return rate. Inside the prisons, medical requests are delayed until emergencies, sometimes until death. In 2024, 2 inmates ages 24 and 39 died after reporting medical complaints. When abuse or corruption is exposed, the response is routine. Deny it, defend it, seal the lawsuit, pay the settlement. After the 2017 uprising, Delaware paid $7.5 million. No leaders resigned. These aren't isolated failures. They're institutional choices. And Delaware leadership keeps choosing silence.
I'm sick of pat-downs. I hate the lock in my cell. I let all the bros out, the politicians in jail. We're living in hell. Prison planet, we ain't getting the bail. Rather smoke each other, put ops in the spliffing in hell. Condition to fail. So I make sure we're beating the odds. Give all the police a charge for keeping us from reaching the stars. Picture me healing these scars. Just a man.
What the record shows is not a series of mistakes, nor the misconduct of a few bad actors. It shows a system that consumes people. The state of Delaware has presided over the steady deterioration of countless souls, not through neglect alone, but through design, tolerance, and silence. A criminal justice system that rewards itself handsomely while releasing men and women broken, impoverished, and unheard is not failing. It is functioning as built. This system behaves like a monster. It feeds on poverty, it thrives on voicelessness, and it grows stronger with every sealed lawsuit, every ignored sick call, every body reduced to a statistic. Those caught inside it are stripped not only of freedom, but of dignity, health, and hope. Warehoused until they are either returned to the streets, damaged beyond repair, or quietly buried beneath official language and legal procedure. Delaware leadership may not strike the blows or close the cell doors, but it keeps the creature alive, defending it, funding it, and shielding it from the light. In doing so, the state has chosen preservation of power over preservation of people. History will not remember this as reform delayed. It will remember it as suffering administered. And until accountability replaces silence, this monster will continue to feed, not on justice, but on anguish.
If I ruled the world and everything in it, no credit limits and locked doors for all the filers in prison. Follow my vision. If I ruled the world, all of our girls will nurture the deep-rooted childhood trauma that we endure, so we can be the best man that follows the seas. But since the world ain't ruled by me, we got envy and greed.
This system does not scream. It hums. It eats quietly, behind concrete walls and sealed files, behind job titles and press releases, behind the word procedure. The state of Delaware did not build a justice system. It built a creature. A thing that feeds on the poor, on untreated illness, on men and women whose names are easier to forget than to save. It feeds on delay, on silence, on the space between a sick call and a body bag. Every ignored plea strengthens it. Every sealed lawsuit teaches it that pain is manageable, as long as it's hidden. This monster does not roar. It signs contracts, it cuts phone lines, it pays settlements with public money and calls it closure. And when the broken are released back into the world, empty, unemployed, marked, the monster waits, because it knows they will return, not because they failed, but because the system needed to eat again. So let this be said plainly, without metaphor, without mercy. The state of Delaware is not failing to stop this suffering. It is responsible for it. This is not justice gone wrong. This is justice weaponized. Delaware calls its prison system accountable. The numbers say it isn't. Judges earn over $223,000 a year. Prosecutors earn six figures. But people released from Delaware prisons leave with less than $10,000, nearly half unemployed, and a 60% return rate. Inside the prisons, medical requests are delayed until emergencies, sometimes until death. In 2024, 2 inmates ages 24 and 39 died after reporting medical complaints. When abuse or corruption is exposed, the response is routine. Deny it, defend it, seal the lawsuit, pay the settlement. After the 2017 uprising, Delaware paid $7.5 million. No leaders resigned. These aren't isolated failures. They're institutional choices. And Delaware leadership keeps choosing silence.
It's like I'm walking through hell. Can't trust a soul to carry this weight. I talk to my scale, just trying to vent. Like we used to have to talk through the cell. They gotta feel me. It's almost like I'm talking in Burrow. Gotta prevail and keep blick with me. Ops trying to get to me. Cops taking pics of me. Against the odds statistically. Imbalanced chemically, mentally. I got shit with me. Can't pop a pill. They might be fake. They might just put me out my mess. Look, system trying to sentence me. Claiming I'm a tyrant. Gotta keep the sling with me. David and Goliath. It'd be some shit if I'm the glitch and shift the matrix out of alignment. The system needs refinement. These youngins need guidance. But who am I to guide them? I just inspire with hope. But know well how it feels to survive off a coke. I used to get it by the sleeve at 95 with the dope. We drown in poverty. Man, even our promises broke. So we smoke to take the pain away. And need help in major ways.